Hello and welcome to Nick's Allotment Diary. So, time for a little plot tour. In this bed, this is the bed with the giant sunflowers in, to show you those. In this bed we've got courgettes, and you can see those. They're producing plenty of courgettes now. And also in this bed we've got a yellow courgette, plenty of those coming. I've also got a butternut squash plant which is here. Now I haven't got any squashes on it yet. To be honest, they went in quite late, these squashes. So I'm going to have a late harvest with them. Oh, there goes the shadow. Also in this bed I've got pumpkins. Not very big yet. These are the flattened pumpkins, sort of Cinderella type pumpkins. Hopefully there's still time for them to develop before Halloween. Also I've got some squashes, Urchi Kukuri, pardon me if I pronounced that wrongly. Can't see any as yet, but they are going to develop on this plant, I think. I've got two plants, to be fair. So hopefully I should get some squashes on them. Over to the next bed. These are my French beans, flying French beans. There's loads of those on the plant. These are Cobra, the one that have got black beans inside. You can see loads of them. So I'll be picking some of those later. I've also got some Blue Lake beans at the end. That is these two on the very end. There's an example of the Blue Lake. Also in this bed I've got sunflowers at the end. They're the firecracker sunflowers. And these are my tomatoes. These are my Crimson Crush tomatoes. There's some coming. I've picked most of the ripe ones, so quite a lot of green ones to come. And I've also got, towards the back of this bed, these are the Crimson Cherry tomatoes. I'll show you some examples of those. They're not really cherry sized, but they're smaller than the Crimson Crush. I'll give you an example. There we go. Cocktail size, I suppose you'd say. In the same bed I've also companion planted some marigolds, and they're looking nice now. I think they deter whitefly. Over to the sweet corn. I've already picked quite a few cobs off this lot of sweet corn this year. The way you can tell they're ripe is the tassels at the end. Once they've gone a dark brown, these are sort of mid-brown I'd say at the moment. Once they've gone sort of browny black, then that's the time to harvest them. I can just about feel that the cobs are swelling there, so shouldn't be long before that one's ready. Have had some damage like previous years. I guess it's mice or rats that have nibbled some of them, but I have managed to get quite a few cobs this year. I'm not too worried because I have had a decent amount so far. Over to this bed. This bed had some onions and salad crops in. The onions, these were the onions that I planted way back Christmas time, just after Christmas, New Year. To be honest, they've not done very well in this bed, and I think the reason they've not done very well is because of the plum tree and the very hot weather we've had this year. Basically the plum tree has just sucked all the moisture and the nutrients out of the soil. So anything that's been growing in this bed hasn't done very well. A few lettuces there. I've got some celeriac, which I only planted in this bed maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Some tomatoes. Those are plum tomatoes. And here we have chard, rainbow chard. That's done pretty well, to be honest. That's not minded being in this bed, but as you can see, the plants nearest the plum tree haven't grown anywhere near as tall as the ones at this far end away from the tree. So I'm going to have to rethink this bed, I think, and decide what I'm going to use it for in the future, because I don't think I can use it for many crops, or if I do, only at this end of the bed. Over to the brassica bed. This has got some plants in it that I'm going to overwinter. So over in the first row I've got some broccoli plants, and hopefully they should produce either late autumn, or I should have some spears in the early spring. I've got some sprout plants at the back and some kale here at the front. Then I've got a row of Savoy cabbages and a row of Hispy cabbage on the left hand side. Also got a few leeks in this bed. I haven't got many leeks, to be honest. I could have done with planting some more, but I have got a few more leek plants, so I might just risk putting them in late and see what I get. Over to the potato bed. These potatoes are now ready for harvest. So I've got a row of the purple potatoes, which are Violetta. I've got 2 rows of Sarpo Nera, who have they've survived well and are still green. And I've got a row at the end of Valor, and they're ready for harvest now because they're all dying back. So I shall harvest them over the next week or so and film them so you can see what I get. This is the fruit bed at the end of the allotment. So there's plenty of raspberries available. Some of those should have been picked before now, but they are very nice. And rhubarb was more or less finished now. I don't think I'll be cropping any more rhubarb. I'll just let that die back to give the plant a chance to build up for the winter. The apples have done really well. My apple tree's got 2 varieties. One is greener variety with the red veining, and one's sort of full red. There's plenty of red apples on the tree, so I shall be harvesting those probably in a couple of weeks' time. I think they needed just a little bit longer. I did try one the other day and I thought it needed a little bit longer on the tree, so I will give them a little bit more time before I harvest them. Over to the flower bed. The verbena is doing very well. The bees and butterflies love that. The rose has more or less finished. Really I should have deadheaded it by now, just to see if any more flowers will come before the end of the year. The calendula has produced loads and loads of flowers and loads of seed heads. As you can see, those are all seed heads. so it's doing very well as usual, and I'll definitely have plenty of flowers again next year because it self-seeds really easily. The yellow rose still in flower, that looks nice. The dark red rose is still in flower, so I'm very pleased with this bed. Does need weeding now and sort of trimming back, but it has been a riot of colour throughout the summer. Into the greenhouse, I've got my peppers growing in the greenhouse. So I've got some of the pointed red peppers that have yet to ripen. I also have some bell peppers. They are only just starting to form. I think I left it a little bit late before I brought these into the greenhouse up at the allotment and potted them on, so they were a bit stunted in the plant pots that they were in. Here is a variety called lunchbox peppers, so those will be sort of a little pepper that you can put in your lunchbox, I guess. I do also have some chilies growing under the bench. They need to go up on top of the bench really, but I haven't got much space. They're a variety called Apache, so I think they're quite a hot chili pepper. Over to the tomatoes. I've got lots of growth on the tomato plants now. Again, they went in quite late, but there are plenty of tomatoes to come. I have had a few. There's some cherry tomatoes. This is the Gigantimo tomato. I've got the indigo rose tomatoes, which are a sort of purpley colour coming at the back there. I'm not sure whether you can see those through the foliage. And at this end I also have a cucumber, which is a Market Moor cucumber. I've been using the watering system, the drip irrigation watering system. Basically there's a solar panel on this post, and then there's a pipe that runs into this bin, which has got water in, and that pumps the water out of the bin through the pipes into little drip nozzles that are in the tomato halo, so they keep the tomatoes well watered. Just show you the herb bed. There we go. So we've got the lavender there, there's some rosemary, some thyme, another lavender, sage, curry plant, and we've got some oregano and some tangerine sage, this one's called, the one with the red flowers. So lots of nice herbs. Hope you enjoyed that tour, seeing what's growing on my allotment. Thanks very much for joining me at Nick's allotment. I'll see you again next time.